Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Expert Division in the Fuji Open Tournament. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go. Here we're going to start by playing hole number 1 with a 20% over adjustment. It's the elevation adjustment, but I'm going to play this one with a 1-to-1 type of method, which is going to be 1-to-1 plus 1. So I'm going to play this one 9.5 rings. You can see I'm using 5 bars backspin and 2 bars side spin to the right. We are going to tweak that one a little bit. I still want to use the same type of landing area, which is blue ring to the left at the bunker and blue ring at where the fringe is starting. But I do want us to change and play with 4 bars of backspin and 3.5 bar side spin to the right. Then you're gonna be spot on. Super important. I'm playing with a Kingmaker to reduce the wind. I'm not using any special balls here in this playthrough. And with special ball, I mean like balls that you only can buy in offers. Like I'm going to use all from Katana, Titan, Kingmaker is in this playthrough, which you all can buy in the Golf Clash shop for gems if you're not having won anything before. Also, before we are going to go to hole number 2, make sure that you sign up on Patreon. You can find link in the video description down below for monthly giveaways, but also for the updated text guides for the Fuji Open, but also future tournaments ahead. So we are there by the pin, 20% extra, super important. I play the sniper 1-to-1 and using the blue ring by the bunker to the left and blue ring at where the fringe is starting. I do believe we're gonna see a lot of hole-in-ones on hole number 1. Hole number 2, I'm going to show you 2 approaches with the drive here. And first, I'm going to play with the extra mile. I was thinking playing with the quarterback first, but as we don't really have that much tailwind to play on, I still want to use the extra mile as I don't feel comfortable playing with 5 bars of topspin. I want the ball to stop. So playing with max side spin, and we're also using 2.5 bar topspin, using the blue ring slightly inside the rough there to the right. And then we're going to play an over adjustment of 10% with our shot, with a max distance adjustment. Half a ball of curl, and half a ball of curl means that I'm going to drag the ball so it's halfway outside the adjustment ring to the right. We get up here very nicely. We do even have room to go even further with the rough there, 355 yards, which is a good shot. And we also have a power 3 ball, which is going to be a nice one for us to dial in. There is a power slice to make here, and I'm going to show you that once we are have been taking our approach. And that power slice is something that I feel is for those of you that of course know how to hook and slice, and you will have to understand that there is always a risk when making a power slice or a power hook for that matter, as you cannot really control it in the same way you can do with a regular shot. Now we are in very close to medium distance of my club. That's what I'm playing it as, and going with max backspin as I'm going for the dunk. The risk we're taking here is that we're going to hit the pin and fall back down. So the thing that you can do if you feel uncomfortable with the dunk is to use just a regular backspin approach to aim on the side of the pin and let the ball roll back towards the pin instead. That shot is very inconsistent due to a very bumpy green, so that's why I feel the dunk is going to be better. But once again, the risk of hitting the pin will always be there. So only if you're feeling comfortable with the dunk, then you should go for it, trying to dial it in. We're getting it very close, getting a little bit short, and just missed to the left. So I need to adjust that one a little bit more to get it to where I want it to. And if you hit the pin, you're gonna fall back into the sand or into the rough, which will be definitely a possible save, but it's gonna be a tough one for sure. So now we are going to start with using as much topspin as possible, 5 bars, and as much side spin to the right possible. Stretch out your target. I'm adjusting 22 rings for the power slice here, and the plan is of course to get my ball as far as possible down here on the fairway and getting myself in a very nice position going for the dunk. And you can see 372 yards was almost 20 yards more than we got with the regular extra mile shot. And we, in this case, are having a very nice possibility for the dunk, as we're going to be close to minimum distance of our club. And once again, a power slice is not something you do if you haven't done it before and you just risk a bunch by doing it. Because if you mess up, you can get into the rough or into the sand, then you will risking the birdie as well. But I wanted to show it here in the playthrough to give you an alternative, and I most likely will break this shot down a little bit more further the week we come in my breakdown videos here for the tournament guide, or the official tournament guide for Golf Clash. Our opponent is on a strange position. I did miss where he or she was. But getting it up to the green, you do need to have a club with backspin no matter what. Backspin, I would say Thorn and Saturn as your clubs. If you do have a Tsunami instead of a Saturn, then you play with the Tsunami as it has a lot of backspin. So now we're going to play uphill, 10% uphill. As for the approach for this shot all the time, back end of the cup with the blue arrows, super important. And here I played minimum distance, and then I'm adding 3 decimals. So minimum distance plus 0.3 to get yourself to where we want to. And then of course make sure your ball centered in the aiming area, and then we get it in for an eagle. This dunk is way easier of course than from a longer distance. We don't have to adjust that much. But there you have it for hole number 2. Hole number 3, 10% downhill, playing with a katana. And here once again, we're going to have the same type of structure, using 5 bars of topspin and as much side spin to the left possible. And then we're going to let the ball guideline show that we're just going to go over the rough. I really like this wind. This is a much better wind in expert than we do have in pro and in rookie, and all, of course, in master as well. So we're going to get ourselves over and get our ball to roll. Sit! We do need that one to sit. And we get to 381 yards, and that's very important to note that down, ladies and gentlemen. The yardage is key if you're going to be a great tournament player in expert or in master, but for that matter as well in pro. You do need to note down how far your drive goes to match that up with your adjustment going towards the pin. For the second shot now, we're going to have a rough bump. And you have maybe heard me talking about that the rough bump is too thin. Why should we go with that then? It's because we do have an absolute perfect wind with that. So we can use that thin rough and give ourselves a very good shot towards the pin. So that is something that I do believe we're going to see a lot of people drop, or a lot of players drop. And something that I myself will be playing at. So second shot, once again, we have a power 2 ball. We do have a Goliath to play with. You can play with whatever long iron that you might like. It's important that you just feel comfortable with it. And here you can see the rough, and this is what I wanted to try. I'm turning the screen around to just make sure that even if I under or over adjust, I will still be hitting the rough. And that's the key when going for a very thin rough bump as we're doing now. 3 bars of side spin to the right, just to put myself even more to the left. To have even more rough to play on. Letting the ball guideline go through the hole, super important, as it's slightly uphill and a slight amount of headwind. Now we're going to play medium distance with no over or under adjustment, and you can see that I'm going to miss to the left here. So the thing that I want you to do is that I want you to play this shot with a medium distance, but with an extra half a ring. So medium distance plus half a ring, and then this ball most likely going to go in the hole. Super good opportunity. But once again, it's very important that you do that from the 389 yard mark. Of course, if you go to a 360 yard mark, the adjustment is going to be slightly different. But from the 389, that's going to be the adjustment. Hole number 4. Par 3, 10% extra, playing with a power 3 ball. Here we do want to have the distance, because we do want to stay away from having to overpower that much. Max side spin to the right. or at least as much as we can, combined with as much topspin that we can, which is 6 bars on the extra mile level 8. Adjusting our rings, which is going to be, once again, maximum distance plus 10. And then we go with half a ball of curl to the right, combined with around 50% of overpower. You may be wondering, why so much overpower? It's because when we are adjusting, our target is dropping down to a lower surface, and then we need to compensate that for making more overpower than we otherwise have to do. For the approach here, we are going to have a short iron with not straight headwind, but a very nice angled wind. So the further up we go, the better it's going to be. I do believe that this is also a much easier wind, especially for the approach, for those of us that are playing in expert. Our opponent is playing with a sniper from distance, and you know, it all depends on the distance of your drive, but play with a power 3 ball. Make sure that you hit that skinny fairway, or like narrow fairway, or whatever it's called in English, and then bounce yourself over 10% over adjustment with a max distance number and some slight overpower as well to get over there. Then we're going to have a very nice type of shot. You can see our opponent running out of time, but this is a non-live player, and that's going to happen sometimes there. So it's not anything wrong, it's just that some stuff like that is happening. Close to the pin, but you know, it's a very tough one to get in the hole, having to overpower a sniper with headwind and having to rely on 3 bounces towards the pin. So for us, we do have a very good opportunity here, and you can see here that we are getting the 8.3. I'm going to use a little bit of side spin to actually try to align the ball guideline with the wind. And I also want to use the fringe / the green as my first bounce point, as the green before the fringe is inconsistent. We always need to try to find spots where we do have a consistent type of bounce. I'm playing this one medium distance, but I should have played this one medium distance / maximum distance of my club, as I was a little bit closer to max than I did expect from the beginning. 1-0. Very close to timing out there as well, but had to rush it there a little bit in the end. Getting it very, very close, and we just need to play it a little bit more so we do get that ball in the hole. Super close though. Hole number 5, sniper, and we're going to play with a big chunk of backspin. And that's because we do, there is like one thing that's going to happen. We have tailwind, so the ball guideline is going to, like, if it would be showing the extended ball guideline or the extra push we're getting from the tailwind, is going to show that we're going to miss to the left, or like have a bounce that's going to get ourselves to bounce more to the left, and therefore it's going to not turn into the right until very late when it's bouncing. Using the rough there as like a target, and bounce in there using as much side spin to the right possible, also using 6 bars of backspin. I would say go with 5 bars of backspin. Try to use the sniper if you do have it upgraded into level 9, because the problem is though is that if we're having a lower level sniper, we are going to not have more than 4.5 bar backspin. Then we need to back up, and as we do have tailwind, playing with a power 3 ball, we're going to go in between clubs. So there is some things there that is a problem, but something that we do need to have in mind. I played medium distance with a 20% over adjustment, and here it could be good playing with a lower power ball, but with a Wind 3, Wind 4 or Wind 5 resistance actually here in Expert. But it should be working with a ball like this. We just need to make sure that we are thinking about the extended ball guideline, so we can get ourselves to be pushed into the right rather sooner than later with the bounce. Hole and number 6, 10% extra. Double bounce. Kingmaker is the ball, as we do want to reduce the wind. We do want to use the distance as well. Using as much side spin to the right possible, combined with 6 bars of topspin, which is the maximum. Then we are going to trying to judge by feeling how much overpower we need to get the first bounce on the fairway, second bounce on the fairway, and the third bounce is going to be either clipping the rough and rolling out, or just go directly over to the fairway, and then we have a shot towards the pin. Tough drive. This surprised me, because every time we've had this hole in the tournament in Expert, we had like a basically dead on straight tailwind. And so I'm happy to see that we're going to have to struggle a little bit with this drive, as there will be players messing this one up. You cannot go with max overpower and clear the rough and the sand directly, then you're gonna end up there. So you will have to go with a double bounce to get yourself over. Our opponent playing with the no solstice. I don't really remember what it's called. No new ball. Gives a little bit of wind resistance. And here you can see now I'm going to play with a sniper. And the sniper is, once again, I'm trying to find a spot which gives me a consistency. There isn't that much. 4 bars of backspin, 1 bar of side spin to the left. Trying to aim slightly to the left of the pin as well, and then we're going to play this one 1-to-1, which is 7.1 rings for 7.1 miles per hour. So that's going to be medium distance with a 10% over adjustment. We hit the ball perfect. Bounce on the fairway there, and we're getting it kind of close, but there is a lot of inconsistency in this approach shot, so I'm not expecting this one to drop, but if it drops, I'm going to of course be super pumped and super happy. Hole number 7, last par 3, and here we do have a headwind. Good wind again, I would say, because headwind is going to make it tough for us, and we're going to struggle, and we're going to see our opponent struggle, I think, here. If I'm not mistaken. But here it is very important to think about the compressed ball guideline. As we're thinking when we do have tailwind, the second bounce is going to be longer due to the extended ball guideline. In headwind, it's the opposite. We do have a compressed ball guideline, which means that the second bounce is going to be shorter. So therefore we need to think about that while approaching towards the pin. Those two elements are most of the cases the reasons on why we are going short or we are going long while approaching the pin on par 3s, or even approach shots in regular tour play. So using a kingmaker, reducing the wind. I do want to have wind resistance 3, but I don't want to use any special balls. 1.5 bar backspin is what I'm using, aiming straight at the pin with the ball guideline going through the hole approximately 1.5 square. And then the adjustment is going to be, as we're going to be in medium distance, a 1-to-1. So an 8.7 in wind is going to be an 8.7 rings. And in the end, I think here we should remove the half a bar of backspin, using 1 bar of backspin to make sure that we're getting enough speed to roll towards the pin. We have a very nice way of the ball rolling towards it, but if we're using 1 bar, we're going to have the ball to turn even sooner, and that's going to be perfect. Hole number 8 here, using a berserker ball, going full blast on the left side, and you're going to see 2 drives. The reason I'm going to show you 2 drives is I want to show you the risk that we're taking going to the left. And I'm sorry that you came in right into the action here, but using max topspin, aiming for the bounce just there on in between the bunker and the water, but more to the right side of it, to try to bounce and roll through the rough and roll out on the other side. In my opinion, that's going to be the best and the way to actually approach this hole if you do have an extra mile level 8 and you do have a power 5 ball. Those of you that are having an Apocalypse level 5 plus will be having a slight advantage here, as you can reach even further, but also having more topspin. So now from this area we roll through the rough, and then we have a very nice shot towards the pin here, using the short iron that we're having, aiming directly at the pin, using a medium distance adjustment here, and then approach the pin. The thing is though, and the risk that we're taking, I'm going to show that as I'm going to show you the other drive, which is going to be played exactly the same way. and you're going to see what happens with that one, because the rough is going to act differently sometimes. Sometimes they're going to give you a very happy bounce, a very lucky bounce that you can roll through the rough and roll out to the fairway. And some other times you're going to get a very dead bounce and the ball is going to get stuck in the rough, even though you did hit the same type of spot. And that's tough. You know, that's tough, and that's not something we can control. So look at this now. Extra mile level 8, max topspin is what we're going to do. And I'm also using a couple of bars of side spin to the right, as the wind is coming right to left and I don't want to go with curl. So I'm using the adjustment here with a max distance with a 20% over adjustment. And you can see here we adjust the rings and then we go max overpower. Dead on max, 100%. And then take our shot. Hit it absolutely smashed perfect, but look what happens here. We bounce very nicely on the fairway, but we don't get the roll here. We do get a very dead bounce, then we end up in the rough, and ending up in the rough will of course take away a big chunk of the percentage of dropping that one for an eagle, but it will be no problem for you to reach for the green in 2, and therefore I believe taking a more aggressive approach for hole number 8 is going to be the case if you do have a power 5 ball. If you don't have a power 5 ball, play up to the right as our opponent did, approach the pin from distance with a sniper. Hole number 9, 10% extra. We do have some tailwind here. It's time for the rough bump as well. 4.5 bar topspin is what I want to do. And as I said, 10% extra, super important. To bounce before the rough. Great shot. No! I don't like great shots, but we still bounce over the rough. We get the ball to roll very nicely, getting to the top part of the shadow, which is perfect. Then we know that we're going to play this one 1-to-1 plus 0.8. And in the end, I think the right side is definitely going to be the play, because it gives us a better angle towards the pin from there, and therefore the adjustment and the opportunity is going to, and adjustment is not, adjustment is going to be easier, but opportunity is going to be bigger. And I definitely see us dropping a couple of albatrosses on this hole. I really like this hole because it's a technical one, and it gives first a very technical drive, which we can make easy by knowing the adjustment obviously, but the second shot, as we're going for the rough bump, is a technical shot, and it requires some skill to make that shot in the hole, and therefore I really value those type of situations and those type of shots. So now for the second shot, sniper with a power 3 ball. We do need the distance, and we reach up to absolute max distance with a sniper, and I'm going to use 3 bars of backspin, no side spin at all. Going to let the ball go directly at the pin, and then we're going to adjust. In this case, I should have adjusted 8.6 rings, but I'm going and adjusting 8.8, even close to 9, as I'm not really spot on with the ball there on the take shot button. So I'm really adjusting this one more as 9 rings, which is going to of course be a little bit too much. So 1-to-1 plus 0.8 is the adjustment I'm going to go for when it comes to the rough bump, when we are in max distance. Coming in very nicely speed wise, but as you saw, we are a little bit too much to the left. So this was the playthrough for Expert Division in the Fuji Open Tournament, and look down in the video description, you can find a link to Patreon, sign up to get updated text guides. Also, we do have timestamps there for you to navigate more easily in this playthrough. So you don't have to watch hole 1 if you already have that locked in. Then watch hole number 7 instead, or any other hole. Also, we in this one, I believe we're going to see some scores around -30 definitely, but it's going to be way tougher this time, and it was the last time in Expert, and I applaud that. I like that actually, that it's get a little bit tougher. Don't forget to hit thumbs up before you go. Video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in the Fuji Open Tournament.